live streaming. Let me go to my transcoder and we should be there. We are. Okay, ladies, you all look beautiful. Okay, Michael, hit the music. Let's get this party started.
15 seconds.
And ladies, phones off, please.
Good idea.
Yep. No interruptions.
All right, sending you that feed. Have a great show.
Thank you. Everybody's going to dance with me. Debbie, behave yourself. Okay, there I said it. You knew. You were ready. Come on, dance with me, ladies.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Radio Red in the house. Thank you to the wonderful voice who introduces me every week. It's Monday. Where else would I be? Those of you who are on LinkedIn, I hope you're reading my little weekly essays before I introduce my guests and promote the show with a banner I've created with their beautiful pictures. I do a little blog entry, and today it was about it hasn't really rained here in a while. Alexa's telling us thunderstorms, called thunder boomers. Well, I say that's like baby boomers, but I will digress there. This is Read My Lips Radio. We talk about creativity. I have met all three of these wonderful people at the National Publicity Summit, one lady at the previous summit and two at the more recent summit. Happy to have them here. We're going to be talking about, in honor of a couple of people's topics today, the families of creativity. I think you all know who you are. So before we get started for real, ladies, I want you to put up your hands in the shape of the letter L, and you're going to join me in saying on the count of three, follow my timing, hello, L, L, L. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L.
Hello.
Michael, they almost got first place on the synchronized swim for LLL. Somebody who just had a little bit of L lagging there. So, Michael, could you put them down for between first and second place? Ladies, you did really, really well considering we didn't rehearse it. Debbie's very happy. This is the 16th of September. How did we get to the middle of September already? Oh, my goodness. This is the 259th day of 2024. Used to be the Julian calendar, but he skipped a lot of days in October. The 3rd was next to the 14th. What did you do with your birthdays? So Pope Gregory, at some point, Gregorian, I don't know what his mommy called him, decided to create the Gregorian calendar. And now we have days for everybody. 106 days are left. It's the 38th Monday, and nobody gives a you-know-what about that except me. So I have a little opening poem, full transparency. I took your bios, which are extensive and very interesting, ladies, and I poured them into my friend, ChatGPT, and I said, will you condense the 300-word bios into 4 or 5 or 6 lines that rhyme, and then I'm going to go in and edit them. So I'm the human. Nobody get afraid. We're not taking anything away from anybody. I'm the human who did the final touch on these. So here we go. When I call your name, just wave. Welcome to Read My Lips, where creativity takes flight. Cool conversations with creatives, a round table of delight. With host akaRadioRed, whose words, just flow on her Scarlett mic in the live streaming glow. Oops, I hit it. On the Families of Creativity today, we will reveal how 3 unique creatives work, think, and speak for real. Dr. Debbie Parker Oliver, wave hello. You're going to be my troublemaker. No, you're not. She sails the world so wide, researching, writing with oceans by her side. From the Acropolis to Alaska, her creativity knows no bounds. Turning grief into growth, her resilience astounds. A sociologist who finds new ways to blend data with life's lessons at each journey's end. Debbie, how'd you like that?
I loved it. That was great.
Good. I rent the poems out. I'll make you a group raid if Sabrina and Lydia both like their poems. Okay, we'll talk afterwards. Sabrina Ciceri is here with us, a mom, a foster parent, and an author with flair, bringing humor and truth to her family affair. Double entendre. From if it's not one thing, it's a mother, to her life full and bold. Her wisdom and wit are tales to unfold. With love, Sabrina empowers each soul she can reach, a wellness advocate with a gift to teach. Sabrina, what'd you think?
Loved it.
Good. I'm glad. I like to make my guests happy. Good. And Lydia Gascon pronounce your last name for me, Lydia?
Samaniego.
Samaniego, Lydia Gascon Samaniego, author and healer, fine. In her book, she writes of love's fiercest line. From the gold country to mountains so steep, she dances, she sings, her passions run deep. A guide through transformation with wisdom profound, Lydia finds joy in life's circles, always homeward bound. What do you think, Lydia?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. I got it. Not too bad. We'll have to level that out with the other ones. So gather round, dear audience, and lend us your eye and your ear as we dive into creativity by those with visions clear. With me, akaRadioRed, the round table is set today. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So, ladies, what'd you think? Cool?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good.
Sounds great.
I'm glad. I wanted to honor each of you. And I do what I do is after ChatGPT gives me back the core of the poem, I go back into your bios and make sure that we have pulled the right words, the right phrases, and the right highlights from what you've done. So I'm very, very glad you enjoyed that. So we're going to get into 1 second. I have a quiz for all of you. How long when I put all of the bios, so it's about 300 words a piece, that's about 1,000 words plus my little opening and closing part of it. How long did it take ChatGPT to send me the core of that poem, that full, everything I read came and then I edited. So how long did it take? If you think it's minutes, put up your fingers. How many minutes did it take? Nope. Oh, we got some smart. Oh, 1 minute.
Seconds.
Okay. All right. 1 minute. All right. Now we're going into seconds. How many seconds? Debbie and Lydia, how many seconds?
15.
Okay. Lydia is the winner, but you're even too much. It's less than 2 seconds. Sabrina, less than 2 seconds. I hit that submit button and it goes whoop. And then she says, I hope you liked it. It's like, yeah, no kidding. I can work with that. And then if I make edits, I put them back into ChatGPT and I say, what do you think of this? And usually she'll say, oh, you really caught the spirit of the poem, Red, and you really did a good job. And you got the cadence and I liked your new rhyme. So she's my friend. I got a drink here.
AI is a scary thing. It's amazing.
It is amazing, and we're already using it in so many ways. People don't even have a clue how much it's already in their lives. But I love it because it helps me honor my guests and do it efficiently. Otherwise, I'd still be writing the poem. We wouldn't have a show. So there we go. Let's go around the table. This is a 3-minute round table. I'm not clocking you, but if you see me doing this, it means I'm not on screen and you are. So start to wrap up. I had a guest a couple months ago who said, oh, crap. Red told me to shut up. No, I don't do that. This is reality radio, lady. So, it is what it is. Okay, Debbie, I'm putting you on speaker view. Would you please fill us in? Because 6 lines couldn't possibly tell us who you are. So, Debbie, go ahead and welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me. It's very exciting. I am a researcher. My research is in end of life, specifically in caregiving for hospice caregivers. And I try to find ways to make that better for people. I do my work and try to balance my life by having a lot of fun on cruise ships. And so I'm getting ready in 4 days to go to Hawaii, sail from Vancouver and do Hawaii for 13 days. And I'll work some and play some and get it all mixed up and come back home all refreshed and go back at it again in November. So I tend to try to travel somewhere fun about once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah.
I hate to ask, but I think we're all thinking, did COVID impact your schedule for
it was brutal. Yeah. Matter of fact, I got off of a ship the day before they shut everything down. And so we barely got off, and then we got home and we got a call. There was a case of COVID on your ship. And, but luckily I was with 3 friends. None of us got it, but since we kind of started that journey together, we just kind of hibernated. We were all neighbors and survived COVID. And about 3 months in, I bought an RV, and I'm like, if I can't sail, then I'm going to drive because I'll be safe in this RV. And so I did that for a while too.
Good.
But I'm back to cruising again.
Wonderful. Glad you are. I hope you have I have a dear friend who's been on the show a couple of times who just flew from Hawaii, from Honolulu to Australia for a 2-week vacation with her husband.
Haven't done that one.
Well, when they got to the airport, this might help. They were told, and they had planned this trip for months. they were told they needed a special visa to enter the country of Australia, and it was only available on a special website that at the moment in time was on being maintained. The website was down for 4 hours while they were at the airport with their valid tickets. So they went home and they waited for the website to come up, and they registered for whatever their visas were. And the next day they went back and they got on the plane. And 10 hours later, they were in, I guess, Sydney was where they went. So interesting traveler note for those of you who are thinking, check the Australia website before you set foot, or try to anyway. Thank you, Debbie. Sabrina, I'm putting you on speaker view. I'm so happy to see you. I met you at a summit before the one where I met Debbie and Lydia. And I know you had some kind of a health emergency and we rescheduled, which is wonderful. And I hope you're okay today. So Sabrina, I'm putting you on speaker view. 3 minutes. Tell us about your life and welcome.
Hi, yeah, my name's Sabrina, and I am an only child to a mother that had me very young, and I kind of turned through the years to raising her, and ended up married and loving kids and wanting a large family. So I had a couple children ourselves, and then we ended up adopting internationally from China many years ago when she was 10 months old. She's now 20. And then we went on again and felt like having more kids and got into the foster program. Fostered 3 kids, not thinking we would adopt that many, but ended up adopting those as well. So right now my kids range from my oldest 32 to my youngest ones are 11 years old here in the house. And I've got 4 grandchildren and 30 years of marriage almost. And I've decided through the years with a lot of the dysfunction with me raising my mother and overcoming a lot of that toxic relationship, that I wanted to put a little humor spin, a little motivation for other women about how, if it's not one thing, it's a mother. Our mothers are important in our life. And plus we become a mother. And then now I'm watching my oldest daughter, be a mother. And I'm a grandmother, and that's a whole different, area of life. And in the middle of all of that, I have a passion for health. And during COVID, I opened up Immunity, a business where it was helping people to take accountability for, we have to take care of ourselves, and I'm very passionate about, there's medical things out there, but we've got to know how to take a little bit of accountability for keeping ourselves strong and well. But I make a choice every day to be happy and make the best of it, even during times, like today, left the hospital today with getting a kidney stone out. I've got a stent in, but it's just one of those things. This too shall pass. And here we are.
Well, I want to thank you for showing up, Sabrina. You're a brave lady, and I would have expected an email from you a couple of hours ago saying, could I reschedule? I'm in the hospital. And here you are, and you look beautiful, by the way. So I'm very happy. And there is a lot of humor in your book. I did peruse the book today. So you've had a very interesting journey. And how did you pick the name Immunity for your business, Sabrina? That's an interesting name.
Well, just while we were thinking, it was June of 2020, about a name that would be different and that would mean something to individuals. The news and everything, although spewing out a lot of stuff, it was talking about the immune system. Everybody was needing it now more than ever. They were losing faith into what was going on in the medical field and saying, listen, what about our own immune systems? So me and my husband were saying, what about immunity? I'm like, I love it. It's strong, simple, and it'll get attention. And it's done very well. I love the business.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
to see you. I've waited many, many months to get you on the show, and I'm glad you're strong and brave. There you go. Lydia, welcome. Let's hear from you. Tell us all about what you do and how you're creative. Lydia, come.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Miss Red. So, I guess my biggest claim to fame is that I'm the mother of 4 young men. I think that that's amazing. And I am also a teacher, and I'm a sound and energy healer, and a life mentor, if you want to call it that. And then most recently, I am an author of the book To Hell With You, which is about a journey that my then husband and I took that ended up becoming hell for us. And the book is about that story, and then the great gems that we learned from those dark times, and to share with people and to help people become happier, more in love with who they are, and positive. So yeah, it's to help people and to help others. So
Very
Yeah.
nice. And where are you? Now tell me, where are you from? I see Gascon with an accent on the O. Where is the derivation of that middle name you've got?
That's my mother's name. Her last name, it was French, or it is French. Although she's from Mexico, she doesn't remember any of her family speaking French, but that's it. And then Samaniego, it came from Spain, but my parents are from Mexico. And so they immigrated here to the United States, California. And most of my brothers and sisters were born here. So I'm first generation Mexican American.
Thank you very much. I was seeing the mix of names in your name, seeing the mix of derivations, and it's always interesting to see. By the way, akaRadioRed is a made-up name. Duh! I'll tell you why. People ask me how I got. That's not my real name. I was on another radio station years ago, Blog Talk Radio, when I started doing internet radio, and I noticed that in the shall we say, in the progression of names of people who were broadcasting, there were thousands of people on those channels. You could have 10 people all broadcasting same time on different numbers, different lines. You had 20 phone lines coming in. It was very, very interesting, very different. And I realized that anything with the letter A would sort to the top if you were looking at a list of hosts. And then I said, well, red hair. I mean, seriously, got it red in there somewhere. And then radio. Well, I didn't want to be red radio because that would imply some part of the world I want to be part of. So I thought, well, what am I going to do with that? And then I thought, well, also known as, and then do I put periods in it or do I attach it to Radio Red? Do I do AKA space radio? Is it capital AKA? Is it lower? I realize I'm really, really killing this thing. But so I just decided one word, just as it appears here, lowercase aka cap R Radio Red. And it stuck because I insisted on it. And sure enough, when you were doing a sort order on looking at all the hosts on that channel or those channels, I went near the top. It's like AAA something, right? So that's how I did that. And I've had that name for a long, long time, and I still like it. So there we go. Thank you, ladies. I enjoyed your bios very much. Let's get to the opening quotes. I've asked you each to quote a movie or TV fictional character in a fictional TV or a movie, or a song lyric, and tell us how that quote has something to do with your creativity. So now I have here your Dr. Debra Parker Oliver, but you insist on being Debbie. So I'm really, really pushing the limits here to call you Deb. I'm teasing. Okay, I knew you were a troublemaker, Debbie. I'm delighted. So you have picked a song from A Whole New World, sung by Lee Ann Salonga and Brad Kane, the theme song from Aladdin, 1992 Disney animated feature film. And let's see, the films, it was their love song, and the theme song, it lyrically describes Aladdin showing the confined princess a life of freedom. Don't we all want that? And their acknowledgement of their love while riding on a magic carpet. Isn't that beautiful? It won the Best Original Song at the 65th Academy Awards, Best Original Song at the 50th Annual Golden Globes, Best Song Written Specifically. You have to have that word in there. That's a long thing on the award for motion picture or TV at the 36th Annual Grammys, and it was Disney's only song of the year as of 2023. Isn't that interesting? And it's been covered by many, many people in different versions of the movie. So here is the line Debbie has picked. I will show you the world shining, shimmering, and splendid. I'm getting goosebumps. I don't know about anybody else, but Sabrina, isn't that a gorgeous line? And
Yes,
Lydia? Beautiful.
Yes.
Debbie,
Yeah.
what does this have to do with your creativity? Go ahead and wow us.
Well, my husband, my deceased husband, and I fell in love, and he showed me the world, and he showed me how to explore and travel and be a part of the world. And our love story continued all through his illness. That's what my book is about, Legacies from the Living Room. And it is the theme song for which I get motivated, and you'll hear me humming it all the time. I love it.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. I'm a divorcee, but about 8 years ago, my ex-husband passed away. And so I never knew whether to say I'm a widowed divorcee or a divorced widow, but there's somewhere in there. Anyway, the point is that he was an architecture major. When I met him, we were both in college. And he taught me, Debbie and Sabrina and Lydia, he taught me to look down as well as up. I went to Europe that summer. I was 18 when I met him at a college mixer, and I was scheduled to go to Europe on a tour and study at the University of Neuchâtel in Switzerland. And I didn't like their French, so I sat by the lake and ate chocolate bars and apples and watched the boats go by. And and took the train into Geneva and met friends. But it was okay. Anyway, the point was that he said, don't just look up, look down and see what's below you as well as above you when you're taking pictures. I took hundreds of pictures, but this was way before cell phones, ladies. So I brought back rolls and rolls and remember those days? Debbie remembers rolls and rolls of film. And
ka-ching, ka-ching.
That's right. And you got the little plastic albums from the photo place, from the developer, whatever, the Photoshop, and not the Photoshop app, but from the photography shop where anyway, the camera shop. It was very interesting. And I remember to look down, and just a quick story. I was selling on eBay years ago when I was between jobs. I'm an early woman in tech. I've been a programmer, analyst, and marketing director and all that good stuff. So in between jobs, I was selling on eBay. My mother was an antique dealer. She had all kinds of stuff around the house, not the high-end stuff, some of the mid, and she gave me stuff to sell. Well, I would go to garage sales in my neighborhood, in an upscale neighborhood on Long Island, North Shore of Long Island. And one day I went to this place and they had all these tables in the driveway, real garage sale. And I remembered, looked down, and underneath the table was a box with little magazines and news. They were bound from the 1890s and vintage harmonicas in a box that the owner, who was a vintage seller, he was an antique seller, had not unboxed. And I said, I want that. What are you going to say? I think they charged me something like $10. It was under the table on the floor. And I sold those vintage harmonicas on eBay. Not a lot of money, but enough to pay for the box. Anyway, I just want to share that with you. So shimmering, sometimes the shimmer is below the table, not always above. Thank you, Sabrina. You thought I'd never get to you. She has picked also a song lyric from a song recorded by the Supremes for the Motown label, 1965, written and produced by Motown's main production team, Eddie Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Brian Holland. And Lamont Dozier, I'll read the title in a second here. Lamont got the idea after his girlfriend, she cheated on him. In the heat of an argument, he said, "Baby, please stop in the name of love before you break my heart." And Sabrina, I hope you liked the way I did that. But that's the real, I love to research my quotes. So Sabrina, what does this have to do with your creativity? Go ahead.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. That's good to know. But it's just, we're very humorous in the family. And when you have a house with 3 cats, 3 dogs, 3 kids, grown kids, grandparents, all that mix, very often I'm saying, stop. I mean, to the kids, to everything, it's like, stop. Whether they're talking, they're running, they're pulling the cat's tail, it's stop. And then I always try to keep it a little bit light so I don't lose my sanity half the time. In the name of love, I just break out in song. I'm like, oh gosh, here goes mom again, but it creates a little humor. It gets them to stop doing what they're doing. And it's just something that I end up doing a lot. So they're used to me breaking out in song when I'm about to lose it.
I love it. I love it. It certainly is something that people in some of our generations understand the lyrics in the song. I'm glad I added something back. By the way, it was #2 on the Soul chart. It was #1 on the Billboard Pop Singles chart on March 27th, 1965 to April 3rd. I think that was 1 week. And in 2001, the original recording, 65 by the Supremes, was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, just so you know. Very interesting. And the choreography, of course, is one hand on the hip and one hand outstretched. Ladies, can you all do that? Come on, give me the stop. There you go. And they performed it on the ABC variety program Shindig on Wednesday, February 24th, 1965. There, Sabrina, you've got the full history now. I'm glad I could help.
It.
Okay, good. You're welcome. Thank you. Lydia has picked... This is all music, ladies. I don't think I've had 3 quotes from songs in ages. I love it. So this was voiced by, it's kind of sing-songy, not so much of a song, but sing-songy. Dory, the Regal Blue Tang, voiced by Ellen DeGeneres. The movie, of course, Finding Nemo, 2003 animated comedy, drama, adventure film. And Lydia, I want to tell you that comedy-drama are the only 2 genres that are hyphenated. Everything, if it's an animated, sci-fi is animated, but animated, science fiction, drama, fantasy, none of those words would be hyphenated. There's just something funny about the genres. So it's produced by Pixar for Walt Disney, blah, 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 blah. The movie features the voices of Albert Brooks, Ellen DeGeneres, Alexander Gould, Willem Dafoe, and Jeffrey Bush. And it's about an overprotective clownfish named Marlin, who, along with a forgetful regal blue tang named Dory, searches for his missing son Nemo and learns to take risks and come to terms with Nemo taking care of himself. And I know that Sabrina can identify with that with all of her children. So here is the line Lydia has picked. When life gets you down, there's a full quote here, Lydia. When life gets you down, do you want to know what you got to do? Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Swimming, swimming. Okay, Lydia, get me out of the water here. How'd you pick this and what does this have to do with you?
Oh, I picked it because so many times when you just want to give up, the idea just keep swimming, just keep swimming with Dory comes to mind because I already know what happens if I don't. Nothing. And I have no idea what happens if I keep swimming because you don't know what you find on the other side. It could be what you're looking for or something even better. So I love that little quote by Dory. And she was so adorable when she was doing it. So, yeah.
Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Just keep, and at the same time, stop in the name of love. And then we could add the first quote from Debra, which was, I'll show you the world shining, shimmering, and splendid. We could put those three quotes together in one character, couldn't we, ladies? Isn't that interesting?
Good. Yes.
I think I've sang all their songs too at times.
I know. Stop in the name of love. I'll show you the world shining, shimmering, splendid. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. I think we have a new movie. I'll talk to you after. We'll have to get together. So now is the time when I'm going to pick one or more creativity statements from each of you, and I will read it. You don't need to find your notes, and just take a couple minutes to explain. I'm going to start with Debbie, of course. And after I read Debbie's statement, Debbie, I'll put you back on speaker view. Sabrina and Lydia, if you have anything to comment, anything that strikes a note, song, a note with you or affects you in some way, I think you both have 10 fingers. The middle one I don't respond to, but wiggle one of the nice fingers. I told you the show was a party. Wiggle one of the, without drinking, wiggle one of the nice fingers and I will call you and you can have a minute or so to respond if there's something you want to say. So Debbie, I'm looking through your statements here and that's what we want to do. This is interesting. Debbie says, I'm picking number one. I'm far more productive and creative when I write as I listen to the rhythmic waves of the ocean than listening to office gossip. Oh, Debbie, pray tell. But we're all nodding. Yeah. But what does this mean for you in your writing? Talk to me.
Yeah. Well, a whole lot of I'd say probably 75% of my work involves writing of one thing or another, usually scientific kinds of boring things. And it's trying to do that in a traditional office setting with all the hubbub that goes on and people walking in and walking out. Instead, let me have my adult beverage, my feet up, my balcony doors open, the ocean passing by, nobody else around, quiet, maybe faint music in the background, but it's mostly splashing against the side of the ship. I can write for hours and hours and not even know what's going on in the outside world. It's my prescription of serenity.
Would you say you're in the zone or in the flow? There is such a thing as creative flow. What do you think,
Absolutely.
Debbie?
Probably zone, I think, because I just feel very protected there and can have my thoughts and it just goes. And
I was looking for the water metaphor. I was looking for the water metaphor swimming in the ocean and the cruise ship. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to get that because it was so bad. So yes. So how much do you write at one stretch, Debbie? Do you write for hours at a time, days a day, every morning, every evening? Just give us a clue. Are you a pantser or a plotter? Do you know the difference?
Painter or a plotter? No.
Pantser or plotter. Pantser, P-A-N-T-S-E-R.
Okay.
A pantser is a writer who writes by the seat of their pants. It's a British term. A plotter is somebody who says, okay, in chapter 1, I'm going to write this. In chapter 2, and they do an outline in advance and then they fill in. So
That's me. I'm a plotter for sure.
Ooh,
very much so. Yeah. Yeah. I outline everything and then fill in details and then put it all together. And then I do write for hours at a time. And when I'm at home, my dogs stop me because they need to go out. And otherwise, I usually set alarms in order to stop because I can just go on. I've gone on so long that it's not good for you. So
Okay.
The alarm.
I've never heard of anybody setting an alarm to stop. I've set an alarm to start. Sabrina or Lydia, either one of you, a pantser or a plotter? Lydia, what are you when you write?
I'm a pantser at this point, but a little bit of a plotter, but more of a pantser. I find more inspiration that way that comes from beyond myself. Yes.
Oh, interesting. Sabrina, what about you?
I try to be a plotter, but I end up being a pantser. It ends up when I make the ideas of the outline, I start and then it runs so long. I'm like, wait a second, I got to go back. There's got to be a break point somewhere.
Thank you. Interesting. Very interesting. Debbie, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Sabrina, I'm going to your statement number 4. This is interesting. You say, I love to try new recipes and tweak the old ones. I love cooking, the art of cooking. It's good to eat physically, but even more, it soothes the soul and calms the mind and body to get lost in the kitchen creating magical dishes. I don't think I've ever had a guest put it quite that elegantly, Sabrina. Can you tell us, what do you cook? You're making us hungry, right, ladies? Go ahead, Sabrina.
Dinner time.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
I love cooking. I was raised with cooking. My grandmother in the kitchen cooking. It was just a thing. It was an experience. You cooked in the morning, the big breakfast, kneaded the dough for biscuits from scratch, and then you cleaned up and you started prepping for lunch. It's just what the women did. I grew up in the country in West Virginia, so they prepped food and all the time and sent me to the garden to get fresh greens and onions for dinner. But through the years, I started modifying them, getting more into health, just turning some of that high fat stuff, cooking greens and bacon fat and all that, changed that, bacon beans with the ham hock. We pulled some of that stuff out. But through the years, I realized that I was calmer when I was cooking. I'd get creative ideas about work. I was more patient with the kids, and I was proud of myself, and I loved watching things evolve and come together and then feeding that to the family. It was just very rewarding. It did feed my soul. I was happy to eat it. It tasted good, but it gave me an overall sense of accomplishment, to slow down and do something that took me back to some of the good times of my roots, which was how important it was to put your heart into what you were preparing and then watch your loved ones consume it. It's beautiful for me.
Well said. Ladies, anybody else cook? Lydia, Debbie?
No.
Lydia, go ahead.
No.
Tell us. No, okay, we'll skip you. Lydia, what do you cook?
I eat. I appreciate everybody else's cook.
I do both.
There would be no
well.
magical description for me.
Both here. Lydia, what do you cook?
I cook everything too, but I was very similar to Sabrina that our house revolved around the kitchen and food and conversation and love in that way. So food is very important, and like Sabrina said, when you make something with a bunch of love and then you see your loved ones eat it and they like it and appreciate it, it's just, yeah. Have you ever read the book, like Water for Chocolate? That
No.
is a book about food and how whatever emotion you are feeling at the time as you cook, that's what's transmitted to the food. So very, very interesting.
I'll look into that.
Yeah.
I took it one step further, ladies. I decided to renovate my kitchen to make it calmer.
Ooh.
I bought this house. I'm in Loudon, Tennessee, and I bought the house over Zoom. It's coming up on 2 years ago. I had never set foot in the state until the day I closed on the house.
Wow.
So I had a realtor who was I gave her Zoom links, and I have neighbors across the street who found the house. I've known them for 30 years from New York when they were clients of mine. I was doing their website and newsletter. I was supporting their business at that point. And they said, there's a house across the street. Get your realtor there. And they came in, they said, this is it. Charlie took good care of the house. He's not there anymore. You got to buy that house. I made a bid and I got the house same day. Okay, fine. Well, the kitchen was, shall we say, country style. It was a granite countertop that was the usual, beiges and browns and hints of stone. I'm a black and white and silver girl. You could tell my colors. This is my house. And the backsplash was tiles that were about this big with grout in between, and they were slate, like a slate light blue and a gray and a beige and a white, and they were all over the map in a brown country style. And there were these little squares that went all along the backsplash. And then the cabinets were painted this dusty rose. Used to be green, I understand. I know. And it was every color in the rain. So the first thing I did when I got here was refrigerator was leaking all over the place. So I put new appliances in with slate gray covers on them, slate gray. So the refrigerator, double door refrigerator, stove, microwave, and dishwasher. That was fine. And then I waited about a year because I was doing other stuff in the house, put a new shower, new garden tub in the master bed, little at a time, little at a time. And I decided to have the kitchen painted. So I had painters come in and paint the cabinet, took the doors off and sprayed them in the garage and painted them just a tiny bit off white, not beige, not yellow, not pink, not green, white, really, really. But I still had that quartz countertop and those strange colors. So I saw a do-it-yourself home show on one of the TV channels, and they were doing what's called whitewashing. It's not a bad thing. You mix paint with water 50-50, and you can paint stone, you can paint brick, you can paint tiles, anything that's porous. So a friend of mine came over and we mixed white paint and water, and she went over these beige and blue and gray tiles in the back and whitewashed them so that they took on almost a white, not ghosty, but a white, not a sheen. It was dull, but the stone absorbed the color. So it was just a little bit like a pale off white, and it calmed it down a little bit, but not enough. So I went and got a contractor, never to be spoken of again in my life, didn't do his job. But anyway, he sent me to a quartz place, and I like quartz, not granite. And I picked something called Mysterian, which is a pure white with a little bit of a gray vein wandering here and there, not everywhere, not blah, 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 blah. And I said, same counter and backsplash. And I had it done, and a new dark gray sink to match. And I just bought a new dining room table with black chairs and a glass top. My kitchen is so calm now. When you walk in there, you just say, what would I like to cook? What would I like to eat? Sabrina, you get it, right? Lydia, you get it? The room is calm instead of all of these colors, the pink cabinets and the brown and blue backsplash. I'm like, what was he thinking? And now I walk in there and I just say, this is really nice. This is really nice. And I've never thought about a room giving me that kind of a feeling of relaxation. And I'm a good cook too. We'll talk about that later. So thank you very much for the inspiration there, Miss Sabrina. Lydia, I'm looking at your statements here, and I like this a lot. Number 3, you say writing. My creativity nudges me as I'm drifting from sleep into wakefulness. I wake up with ideas or words formulated in my head, or as I'm walking in nature, she comes to me. I get answers to questions I am pondering and how to word a particular idea in a chapter in my book. Lydia, this is lovely. Tell us more, please.
Well, I don't know why, but it's funny when I'm coming from sleep into wakefulness, there's that moment of, I don't know what you would call it, twilight, or I don't know, that you come into, and all this like insight comes and clarity and the way to word certain things, especially if I've been struggling with something. And I just put it out there. How do I say this? And go to bed. And it doesn't happen the next day necessarily. It could happen in a few days, but then it comes and it's like, ooh, very, very clear. And it's nice. Or it happens also when I'm in nature. Everything is clogged, but in nature, the wind's blowing, the sun on my face, the sun on my back. And I just listen, and sometimes it just comes very clear. So, yeah.
Do you ever wake up with the answer to something like a math problem? I used to do that in high school when I was taking some kind of advanced math class. I'd leave a pen and paper next to my bed on the night table. And sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I have the answer to a very complex math problem. Did that ever happen to you, Lydia?
Not math, no.
Not math. Other problems, but not math. Yeah.
Other problems, yeah, but not math.
Isn't that interesting? The things I just bought a sleep number bed. I had one from about 25 years ago, and it finally is saying, okay, it's time. My kid said, Mom, it's time. Get another one. They don't call them Select Comfort anymore. It's Sleep Number. And this bed does my biometrics, Sabrina.
Oh.
It clocks the number of hours I sleep, how much restful sleep I get, my heart rate, my breathing rate when
That's
I get in.
Scary.
It is. Well, it's on my phone, so nobody can say it. You can't have my phone, but it's looking for a 7-day pattern. I just got the bed a week ago tomorrow. So it's looking for a pattern. And if I'm very restless at night, I don't want to look at the phone the next morning at the app to say, you went to bed at 1:14. You didn't fall asleep till 2:19. What are you doing, lady? You got up twice. It was 3 minutes apiece in the powder room. It doesn't quite say it like that. So it's very interesting, but it's the same thing a Fitbit would probably do, right? Or a smartphone would have those kinds of apps. But the bed is telling me. It's one of those beds where you can put the head up and the feet up, one of those. I'm getting all my stuffed animals fall off the bed when I put the head up. It's like, monkey, where'd you go? He's on the floor. He's under the bed. Oh, I got to think. Never mind. I don't have, my kids are grown and they live on their own, Sabrina. So never mind. Okay. I want to do one more from Sabrina before we do some fun trivia. Okay. We have time. Sabrina says, creativity means having fun. And she puts it all in capitals, F-U-N, and trying new things like snorkeling, zip lining, taking a trip, even if it's outside your comfort zone. I know Debbie can identify with that. Interested in trying new things, married and happy after being together over 30 years, takes creativity. Okay, what's the secret, Sabrina? Everybody wants to know.
Oh, gosh. Particularly to the marriage, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a joke that goes around all the time because people ask that all the time. So you're married to your husband, what's the secret? I'm like, well, he said I do, and by God, he will. Or it's like, what? And I'll say that lightheartedly because it's communication. He's always been more quiet, and I have been more assertive. But we could have, through the years, looking back, split many times. I see where it was going down a road, and it was mainly when we would clam up. But when we would sit down all the time and talk it through and respect each other, we could always get past it. And I think that's been the biggest key. Is there's been many times I've not wanted to have a conversation with him. I mean, some of the things today are still the issues that we had years ago. Mm-hmm. I just know now it's not going to change. And it would be the same with another man. And I know when to run my mouth about something and when to keep it shut. But when I need to talk, even though after this many years, it's like, I don't even want to talk to him anymore about this. It's going to be useless. I'll make myself, and we talk. He feels loved. I feel heard, whatever it is. And we move on to another day. It is one day at a time. And we do make sure that we get weekends away. We do make sure that we laugh, mm-hmm. and we do keep something alive in the bedroom. It's a must, because over the years, it is crazy. When I was young, I said that our sex drive would never change. Well, it does. It really does change. He's turning 50 in a couple of weeks, and I'll be 53. And I'm not really into it so much anymore. But we know it's important, and we make these things happen. It's effort.
Yep. And you used a very interesting word. You said listening. I think you said feeling heard. Mm-hmm. If any of you have seen the TV show The Bear, which just picked up a lot of new awards at the Emmys last night, and why it's in the comedy category, nobody knows. It doesn't even make, and that's why Hacks, and I love Gene Smart, and I devoured the show Hacks. It's brilliant. But I just started watching The Bear. I started the first episode about a year ago. My daughter recommended. I couldn't get through the first episode, the yelling, the cursing. It was just way overwhelming. And then I went back and watched, and I binged it last weekend. Okay. And then I finished it last Monday, all 3 series. Season 3 wasn't that great. I think people are saying that. They're setting up for 4, I think. But when you're in the kitchen, in a professional kitchen, you're going behind someone, you say behind. When you're going around a corner, you say corner. So they know, don't back up. But one of the words, if I said something to you about redo that plate, Sabrina, you would say heard. That's the word, heard. It's a word apparently that's used in professional kitchens. I'm not meaning to point at you, but I thought that was an interesting word. People say, okay, listen, heard. I listened. I heard you. I think that's a magic word. I want to sneak in one more here from Lydia. And Lydia, you say, I can look at a room, a house, or an area, and it tells me how it wants to be, and I create that. Lydia, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, often, like, for example, the little cabin that I'm in here, it looked horrible, oranges and olive colors, and it was pretty ugly. So most people just turned their nose up it. But when I saw it, it just told me what it wanted to look like. It wanted to have different colors and different places to be elaborated. And and then I go to it.
There you go. When I moved into this house almost 2 years ago, the day I moved in, remember, I had never set foot in the house. Somebody had the key the night before the closing, so I was able to sneak in and see what I got. Like, oh shit, what did I do? 4 yards, 3 cars. The garage is almost 800 square feet. It's the size of the co-op apartment I lived in on Long Island for 32 years. That was my castle. I had everything. My friggin' garage now. Anyway, I only have one little car. Anyway, bottom line is, there was an attachment to the house, Lydia, that was called a sunroom, and there windows, a door that goes out to the back deck, 3 windows including the door and 3 windows on the other side. So it's the end of the house, and it has a secure door that goes into what was their dining room. Well, this room doesn't have heat, doesn't have air conditioning. I took one look and I knew. And I said to the movers, I brought my mother passed at 100 years, 1 month and 1 month and 15 days in my arms, took a cough and had a cough. And that was it. It's a story I'll tell you all later. Anyway, the point was that I had her dining room table, which is beautiful. You know, the old tables you could put a leaf in if you wanted to have 8 or 10 or 12 for dinner. And it comes with beautiful mahogany table and just scroll legs, gorgeous. I said to them, set up the table in that room, in that sunroom. Set up the table. And then I had a big heavy piece of glass about 1/2 inch thick that was a tabletop of something that the bottom broke off. Well, I don't throw stuff away. So I said, put the glass on top. And then I said, put the little red dresser with the little pull-out drawers that I bought and assembled from IKEA 20 years ago. Put that in there. I made it my art studio. Lydia, it's my art studio. And I knew the second I walked into that room, it was going to be, I put a little heater in the winter. In the summer, it's hot. So I opened the door to the house and let the air conditioning go in. And I keep candles in there, unlit. And when I walk in, the scent of the blended aroma from the candles is just divine. So I knew the second, Lydia, is this what you're talking about? You just know what a room needs.
Exactly.
You know what a room needs. It's lovely. Okay, I have a couple quotes for you, ladies. This is about in the flow. This is for you, Debbie. Kobe Bryant. When you get in the zone, it's a supreme confidence. Things just slow down. You really do not try to focus on what's going on because you could lose it in a second. You really have to try to stay in the present and not let anything break that rhythm. Roger Ebert said, when I write, I fall into the zone many writers, painters, musicians, athletes, and craftsmen seem to share. In doing something I enjoy and I'm an expert at, deliberate thought falls aside, and it's all just there. I think of the next word no more than the composer thinks of the next note. And one more from jazz great Charlie Parker. You've got to learn your instrument. Then you practice, practice, practice. When you finally get up on the bandstand, forget all that and just wail. And the word flow state comes from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. I can't pronounce it. It's got 25 letters in it. It's a 1990 book, and it started the conversation flow state, a state of mind in which people can focus their brains, shut out distractions, and become much more productive. Does that sound familiar to any of you?
Sounds like paradise.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? I agree. I've got 9 minutes left. I want to take you through some famous events in music history. I think you'll all enjoy this. This was today the birth date of B.B. King. Was born in 1925. I have a little more on that later. In 1959, on this day, September 16th, Dick Clark's first Caravan of Stars toured, opened in New York, had the Coasters, the Drifters, Lloyd Price, Laverne Baker, Dwayne Eddy, Twang Twang, Paul Anka, and Annette Funicello, who was in the Beach Blanket movies with, I know. In 1960, on this day, Johnny Burnett recorded You're 16, You're Beautiful, and You're Mine. In 1963, the #1 song in England was the Beatles' She Loves You. Interestingly enough. Okay. The same day, the Beach Boys released their third album, Surfer Girl. Surfer Girl. I can't sing. 5 of the tracks had the word surf in the title on that album. The next year, the musical variety show Shindig, which I mentioned to you, Sabrina, because that's when the Supremes debuted that song, it premiered on ABC with performances by Sam Cooke and the Everly Brothers. In 1965, the Dean Martin Show debuted. Everybody loves somebody. That was the theme song. It ran until 75. That's 10 years. And it introduced the backup dancers, the Gold Diggers. Does anybody remember the Gold Diggers dancers on TV? Some of you might. And he coined a new nickname for his friend, Frank Sinatra. He called him chairman of the board. That's where it came from. That day, September 16, 65. Let's see. After 8 years in 1970 on this day, the Beatles are knocked from the #1 spot in the UK by Led Zeppelin. Okay, I'm sure that's important to somebody. In 1984, the TV series Miami Vice debuted with a 2-hour episode and Phil Collins' song In the Air Tonight. By the way, there's a new TV show called Dr. Odyssey debuting on one of the channels next week with Don Johnson, who was in Miami Vice. I know, and he's wearing a tux. He looks kind of skinny. Janet Jackson on 1993 was topless on the cover of Rolling Stones, if you remember that. Her husband's hands were covering her. We'll leave that one alone. And in 2006, Bob Dylan, at 65 years old, was the oldest person to top the Billboard album charts with his album Modern Times. number one.
Mm.
Interesting. At 65 was okay. Here we got some birthdays. Ed Begley Jr., the actor. Anybody watch Saint Elsewhere? He was Dr. Victor Ehrlich, and he played Stan Sitwell on Arrested Development. He's had 300 acting roles. He is 75 today. Happy birthday, Ed Begley Jr. Mark Anthony. You all may know him as one of J-Lo's husbands, and she was one of his. He was married 4 times, lots of children everywhere. I don't know. He has 9 children, 12 children. J-Lo was wife number 2. Grammy Award-winning Puerto Rican singer, top-selling salsa artist, the top-selling salsa artist in history. Amy Poehler is 53 today. We all know and love her. Tina Fey's friend. The rapper Flo Rida, 2 words, is 44 today. We'll leave that one alone. Nick Jonas is 32. God bless you. Let's see. Meg Tilly's sister, Jennifer Tilly, the actress in Liar Liar and Seed of Chucky, is 65 today. And if anybody watched the Gilmore Girls, Alexis Bledel, the actress who played Rory on the Gilmore Girls, is 43 today. In memoriam, B.B. King died in 2015 at 89 years old. Born near Berkeley, Mississippi, legendary blues singer, guitarist, and songwriter who won a Grammy Hall of Fame award in 1988 for The Thrill Is Gone. I played that on my drums when I did open mics a few years ago. His grandmother raised him. His mother was too poor to take care of him. His mother's cousin gave him his first guitar, and he named his first electric guitar Lucille. And somebody said he had 50 grandchildren. Sabrina, is that something for you to aspire to? Here we have a couple of quick ones here. On YouTube today, Anthony Padilla is 37. Ladies, do you know why we're celebrating his birthday? Patrina, Sabrina, Lydia,
No.
Debbie? Well, he only has 7 million subscribers on YouTube. I thought you'd be interested in that.
Wow.
He has a comedy group called Smosh, Smosh, and he began hosting a talk show in 2019 called Throwback with Nickelodeon. You can look him up. Also on YouTube, Millie T, just the letter T, is 24. She has 1.3 million subscribers, Lydia. And she does makeup tutorials and unboxings and product testing. And she has a lifestyle vlog. And her viral video, 8 Beauty Hacks, Every Girl Must Know, was viewed 700,000 times. I want to know that. On TikTok, we have a young man named Carlo Longo, who's 28 today. You ready for this, ladies? 6 million followers on TikTok, 407 million likes, and 1.3 billion on YouTube.
Wow.
Okay. He co-owns with his wife, who wasn't his wife at the time, Carlo, on Sarah. And he has a clip from his wedding, their wedding, where he messes up his vows. It got 20 million views. Sabrina, you got to think about another career here. He married her in Italy and he got his green card. Okay. Today is Choose Your Chocolate Day. Okay. Anybody ever heard of See's Candies? SEE''S?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, when I was living in Eugene, Oregon, in Valley River Mall, we had Mrs. C's Candies. It's SEE''S, Sabrina. And Mary C was known for her chocolate recipes. She was born in Ontario, Canada in 1854. Everybody loved her confections. At 65, she moved with her son, Charles, to Los Angeles from Canada. And they founded the first C's candy store in Pasadena. By 1925, there were more than a dozen C's around LA, and it spread all over the U.S. On June 20th, 2012, that's how many 12 years ago today, C's entered the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest lollipop, 7,003 pounds. I have no idea what that looks like. 4 feet long, 9 inches thick, and the one before was 500 pounds. Today is National Cinnamon Raisin Bread Day, Play-Doh Day, Sit with a Stranger Day. I don't know why. Step Family Day, in case. It's Tattoo Story Day. I don't have any stories to tell. I don't have any tattoos. Respect for the Aged Day. We won't talk about that either. It's Working Parents Day. It's World Barber Day. Just had a trim here. It's Ozone Day. We know what that is. Adopt a Less Adoptable Pet Week and Recycle Awareness Week. So what'd you all think? Have any special holidays I want to go out and have a pick your own chocolate day. I think that's going to be it.
It's my granddaughter's birthday today. So
well, happy birthday. And by the way,
5 years old.
Happy birthday. September foods. Celebrator chicken, sourdough, condiments. I don't think that's a food. Honey, papaya, better breakfast. That's a lot of foods. And bourbon. It's Bear, BEAR, Necessities Month, Classical Music Month, Footy Colors Month, Happy Cat, Guide Dog, Service Dog, Pet Insurance, Save a Tiger, National Sewing Month, Save Your Photo, Self Improvement Month, and World Candle Month. I just dreamed this stuff up. No, there is a website for wacky holidays. We have to close in about a minute here, and then we'll stand around and talk for a little bit. Just let me ask you before I close. Did you have fun, Sabrina?
Yes, a blast.
I hope so. Debbie, you too?
Absolutely.
I guarantee you won't meet anybody else like me at the summit. Lydia, I hope this was good for you.
Yes, Miss Red, of course.
Okay. Listen, ladies, in 2014, I closed my shows with the top 10 tips for women, and I will only read you two of those. The number one, this was 10 years ago. Aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. And the last one, the number 9, was when life gives you lemons, make lemonade and add vodka. So you probably heard that one. Here's our close. I want to thank Michael, my engineer. So let's do this together here. Life is short. Break the rules. I think we all have. Forgive quickly. Nah. Kiss slowly. Yeah. Love truly. Try. Laugh uncontrollably. Ladies, laugh with me. 1, 2, 3. You could do better, but we don't have time. And never regret anything that made you smile, because work like you don't need the money. You may be the only one who cares. So just enjoy it. Remember, if you're having fun, you're not working. Dance like nobody's watching. When I was teaching disco in high heels on a Formica tabletop in a high school cafeteria, I never fell off, but everybody was watching. Sing like nobody's listening, and love like you've never been hurt, because we all have. Get over it. Let your heart rejoice. Let your heart rebuild, shimmer, and shine. There we go. Money talks, chocolate sings. And last but not least, I stole this line from another host many years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Okay, Michael, are we done? Ladies, don't go away. Michael, how we doing? And goodbye to LinkedIn. Okay, bye to LinkedIn, bye to Facebook.